Hey, beautiful souls. I'm Brooke. I am an intuitive Reiki Master. I'm also a channel for the divine. Welcome back. I am sitting here with Sara. You can find her on Instagram, Sara Divinely You. Welcome, Sara. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. We've been chatting it up a little bit before we decided to hit record. And I absolutely love everything that you were sharing with me. I'm going to let you go ahead and start sharing a little bit about you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. As Brooke said, my name is Sara Waggle. Sara, S-A-R-A, Divinely You on both Instagram and on YouTube. So I am an astrologer and an intuitive guide, a spiritual guide. I also dabble with oracle cards and things like that. So I kind of dive down a lot of different paths and different avenues. With a pretty vast background and lots of different things leading up to working in spiritual work. So I don't know what people would want to know about me, but I think I'll say my astrology and my human design, because that might clarify the rest of the conversation. I'm an Aquarius sun, and I have a moon rising in Scorpio. So I have lots of fun energy in my chart. And I'm a 6/2 manifesting generator. So lots of divine wisdom, divine feminine, and all of that. And so I bring a lot to the table, I like to think. And so yeah, I'm excited to be here. So thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. Now you're also a Reiki healer.
I am. I've done distance Reiki healing. So if anyone would be interested in working with me with Reiki, and that's kind of been like my focus over this last year, is really working through my body in my own way, like working through my energy centers. Whereas prior to this year, I kind of did it by working out or, whatever other sort of therapies. But this year I really focused on, focused on working with energy and balancing energies and clearing energies and moving energies through my body. So happy to work with people on that as well.
Yeah, and that's pretty powerful stuff. Once you start honing in and learning how to channel it in the proper ways, it becomes extremely powerful.
It does. And, I've been diving in super deep on, because I have a lot in Scorpio, which is being, opposed by a lot of the Taurus energy we've got going on. So it's been like a really powerful astrological time to focus on moving energy through. Kind of what I was saying like before, just to kind of maybe normalize it for people if they're experiencing a lot of what I've experienced this year, is kind of every other week I've had headaches, every other week I've been lethargic. So I've had a lot of and for a manifesting generator to be like laying in bed as much as I've laid in bed has been really challenging, because I'm normally like a go type of person. And so, but all of the Taurus opposing my Scorpio and all of the solar energy that we've had going on, it's really I don't want to say knocked me down, but it's really had me surrender. Correct. Yeah. Exactly. It's really had me trust and surrender that I had to learn a different way to manage. Good.
To transmute the energy.
Yeah. So instead of kind of going through life and fixing it by working out and sweating it out or whatever, I've really had to ground in and surrender to, I got to learn a different way. And I think that's sort of a message for the times that we're in, right? Because we're in this space of a huge collective transformation and transcendence. And, we all have to learn a different way.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And see, I started going through this process around 2020. Okay, is when I was really in over my head. It would put me down for a couple of days, very lethargic. What is wrong with me? Oh my gosh. And I started keeping up with the Schumann. And I started noticing a trend on those days that it would hit me pretty hard. Is when the Schumann would spike really high. So what that was telling me was, okay, there's a lot of energy that's coming in. We are kind of like human lightning rods on the planet. So that energy, the phone rings. That energy comes in, right? And we ground and transmute that energy to help Mother Earth with the absorption of it. And it will literally knock us out. And that's when I had to learn, like you mentioned earlier, to be kind of, I'm not being lazy. My body needs this rest because I am moving so much energy.
Yeah, exactly. And, integration, we can't just expect our energetic beings to take it and absorb it and it's okay and keep going and not there's got to be like a hard reset to integrate these frequencies into our being and allow them to open us up, open up our hearts, open up our souls, and really follow our soul's mission. We've got to give ourselves compassion and give other people compassion as well. And so there's definitely been a lot of that over the last couple of years. This year, it just happened to hit me a lot harder.
Well, but you're getting hit with personal planets. Like that full moon in Aquarius, I was right there with you. Like, okay, is this going to be the T square that breaks me, or is this going to be the T square where I truly surrender enough and I'm able to see my full divine strength of being able to process and transmute as much pain, suffering, heartache, you name it. Like it felt like a full-blown dark night of the soul, heart chakra purge. Like, what is happening? But it was all over my Chiron. My Chiron was taking the hit and being able to transmute that, not just on myself, but in the collective too. And then start being able to put, okay, the more I cry and release, the more it cries out, or the more it rains outside of me. So now I've taken those abilities and been able, like you were saying, transmute and move that energy into where it's now benefiting Mother Earth around me too.
Right. And I think, that just we get reminders all the time that like our healing work, our personal healing work heals, collectively, because that healing, we expand that green light of our heart chakra. We expand that every time we take on healing, right? And every time we purge and open up ourselves even more, that light gets brighter and expands more collectively. And that full moon, that was an ass kicker for a lot of people. I didn't get terribly hard with it, but I definitely felt the purge leading up to it, like between the Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction and like the day before the full moon. I was definitely feeling the purge, but the day actually and that's kind of typical me. Like I feel the transits before they occur. And then like, as they're occurring, I'm like, okay, I'm okay now. And so just like right now, we were talking about this right before we started recording, but we were talking about this, we're in this space. We had that Mars Uranus North Node conjunction. We had that Aquarius full moon, and that was really inviting all of us to purge, release, let go, and clear space for. And those who are not tuned into that, this Scorpio season coming up is going to be a bitch. Like there is no, I think even if you're grounded in, it's going to be a bumpy ride because it's Scorpio season and there's going to be a lot going on with eclipses and whatnot. But I think those who are not connected, that are not taking on the shadow work, the deep work, the purging work, all of those things, it's really going to hit extra hard because you've kind of been invited for the last 2 years since 2020 began. You've had the invitation. It's been there for you to do the work. And if you've been like, no, I want to do normal life, good luck getting through. Like this is really going to be painful, unfortunately, for a lot of people. And I think that's where, turning to those of us who are light workers, who've been doing this work, like turn to us, like we're here for you. We invite you to get through it. Like we're here to help you through it, because purging work is no fun. It's not.
No, it's not, but it's also learning to have grace and to love whatever's coming up,
And
no
to be
matter
with
what.
it.
Yeah. And, the hardest part for me was 2 years ago of not beating myself up when I need to pause and take a nap. And it never fails. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm just really tired today. I feel like I'm searching for more energy to be able to push through. I go and I look at the Schumann and I'm like, oh, no wonder.
Right?
I should be tired right now.
Yeah.
And for me, it's helped me to find grace and be like, okay, I am human. I can only do so much. And I gotta honor where I'm at and honor what I'm feeling and love me being there. It doesn't make me lazy. Being a Pisces, I'm doing so much work in the realms that people can't see.
Correct.
So when it's time for me to take a nap, like I took a nap the other day and started that whole, because we've got Mercury in Virgo, started that whole, really, you've got a lot that you should be doing. You're really going to lay down and take a nap.
Well, right. And now we have Mars in Gemini, which Gemini is like zippy energy, but like we still have to honor that. Yeah, Mars is in Gemini, but we still got, the solar energy we're dealing with, and we've still got a lot of big planets doing big things. And so, be zippy and be, on the go when you're up, but be okay with taking the rest and letting your body absorb what it's going through, and we were kind of talking before about like, I'm so much Scorpio, like I have Uranus and moon and rising in Scorpio. So I am an emotional roller coaster sometimes. And I like just learning my astrology, my human design has like brought this whole new level of self-acceptance of like, oh, this is actually who I am, how I am divinely designed. I'm divinely designed to be an emotional roller coaster sometimes. That moon hits a water sign. Like last night it hit Cancer and I start crying over the Transformers movie I was watching. Like, it's like shit like that. But like once you learn that like this is how you are divinely designed, God made you this way. He put you in this meat suit with these energetic pieces, parts. And like, to me, that has just allowed me to love myself through it that much more and accept it. It's also meant a lot of purging and a lot of letting people go in my life who cannot honor that about me. And I think that's an important part of it too, is like, we're all being kind of invited to honor how we are divinely created and to dismiss those who cannot honor and be with and support that that's who you are, because that is so critical and so important. I mean, you talked about feeling lazy and all of that, and when people say that I'm lazy, it's like, you don't even know me.
Yeah. And it's part of the second wave of Lightworkers too. Like our work, literally. That's our work, is to hold the vibration and to transmute energy. And it's what can't be seen, which can be exhausting. Just because you can't see the work physically doesn't mean that it's not taking place.
Totally.
And that's been a hard one for me, especially being able to explain some of those things to like my parents, my mom specifically.
Yeah. I've had issues with my brothers because, they just, they're not where I'm at. They're not, spiritually, they're not where I'm at, not, and I don't think of them as less than or anything, because I know they're going through their own, shadow work, even if they don't realize they're going through shadow work. And I think that's kind of an important part, for all of us too, is like acknowledging and realizing that like, even if we're all going through it, even if people don't know what it is and they don't know where the planets are and the things are, and they don't know that, it doesn't matter. We're all still going through our own process of this transcendence. Like it's all it's happening to and for all of our greater good, even if people aren't willing to explore the spiritual side of it. So I think that's where my compassion kind of grows, even if I kind of have to dismiss people from my life. Like or spend less time with them. I mean, they're my brothers. I can't exactly avoid them forever, but I do put boundaries up of what I'm willing to accept from people, or I put boundaries up as to how much time I'm willing to give those people. You know, but the last couple of years, I think we've really found out who's in our corner and who's going to stand for us and who's not. And I don't know about you, but I've lost a lot of people. Not just like, I don't mean like they've died or anything. I just mean that like I've lost a lot of people, because a lot of people, I kind of found out who my friends were, kind of thing. And so, and I've just kind of honored that, and like, okay, they are where they are, and I can't dim myself or lower myself spiritually or energetically to be with that. You know, they got to go where they are, and I got to go where I'm going. So
yeah. Amen. Yes. And it's not been easy.
No, I've grieved a lot. I've cried a lot. I've yeah, I mean, I feel like 2020 was very painful, because that's when I really got a lot of nastiness from people, not only people that I thought were my friends, but people who were strangers on the internet. Like, you know, and I posted a reel on my Instagram the other day, like, have y'all figured it out yet? It's not about the choice that people make. It's about how we treat humans amid that choice.
Of the difference.
Yeah. It's, you know, I mean, I've made lots of choices in my life, not even just recently, but lots of big choices in my life that people have not supported, not liked. You know, like 12 years ago, I quit a really good job that was making me a lot of good money, but it didn't work for me. And I'm a manifesting generator. So if it doesn't feel good, I can't do it. Like, so we can all make choices in our life that people aren't going to agree with, support, or whatever. But even if you disagree with someone's choice, we're here as humans to support and honor each other. And, you know, no matter what their choice is. And so yeah, these last 2 years have been.
I love that you brought that up, because there was a video that popped up on TikTok, and it was it was an ex-con. Okay. She was a felon, and she said, you know, this message is for those that stood up against what was going on. Okay. She said, I want to tell you, you can take it or leave it. This is coming from a woman that has spent the last 12 years in and out of prison, literally, her words. And she said, what you all have endured over the last 2 years with your family, your jobs, your friends, standing up for what you truly believed in. You all were in worse shape than someone in prison, someone locked up. You all had it worse because A, there was no end in sight. You didn't know how long you were going to have to stand up. That's the worst part. B, you didn't know who was going to be on your side and who wasn't, who was going to come after you. You know, I lost every means of being able to make money, my network, my location, my social media, you name it. I was taken out every way possible. I still got back up. I still continued to build. I still continue to build now. Yep. You know, unlike some people like David, I can't go back to receipts because I've been taken out too many times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then it got to a point that I was like, well, I mean, I'm going to have to discreetly find a way to still be able to talk about it, because I'm not going to shut up. I'm not going to roll over.
Yep.
And hearing what she said, and I was like, you know, it really put things into perspective. You know, you go to prison, you go to jail, you got a sentence.
It's a sentence.
You know when it's going to be over. You know how long you have to prepare yourself for. Going through this, it's like, is it ever going to be brought to light? Is it ever going to, like, are we ever going to be able to say hey, regardless of your choice or my choice, it doesn't really matter. The whole point of the United States is freedom of choice, period. And you can see it in any perspective that you want, whether it be the way we heal, the way we make money, the way we seek to have any advertising or our news or the things that we want to say, like you name it. And it really resonated. And I was like, you know, again, don't judge the messenger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And two, like, there's also like the accountability layer to it too, because I often think like, you know, as things kind of get lifted or whatever, however you want to perceive it, you know, people are like, oh, you can go back to participating in the things. And it's like, but I don't want to.
No.
Because you treated me like shit. You treated me like I was inhumane for my personal choice of freedom. Now you want me to just come back? It's like an abusive relationship. And that's what this has all felt like to me.
It really is. It's gaslighting. It's narcissistic abuse. It's
abuse.
Magic.
Yeah.
Magic on top of that.
I remember thinking early on when it all started, and there was a reel that came out that was like, okay, so the news media says this, but then there's this, and then there's this. And I thought to myself, did my ex teach the media, or did the media teach my ex? Because that's exactly how it felt like. There was that cyclical, confusing conversation of like, you get kind of in this mode of like, you don't know what you're supposed to think, because the message you're getting from the other person is that you can't think. And so it just like totally felt like an abusive relationship to the collective. And it's like, so no, I won't go back to those places or those things that I used to participate in, because I'm not just going to come back because now it's, you know, now it's lifting or it's ending, which I don't believe that it is, but because I think there'll be another layer of it, right? They're going to keep pulling the rug out and keep pulling the rug out until we take a stand collectively against the bullshit.
I think that stand is here.
I think it is too. I think it's definitely coming.
Yes, with this
people are just have kind of had enough, and 2 years of fear and stress and all of the stuff. Like, you either take a stand or you're going to collapse. And I think that collectively we're starting to see the beginning of the stand, of the taking of the stand. And you know, we're now in that, you know, Pluto's going to move into Aquarius March of 2023. So we're about to that revolutionary point for humanity to really take that stand.
Well, there was 2 million families in the United States that decided to start homeschooling their children. That tells me
that tells me a lot.
A lot. Yeah. Hey, there's a lot more of us.
Yep.
2 million families.
And if you did choose to homeschool your kids and you're listening to this, props to you. I know, right? Because way to take a stand for your children, way to take a stand for your family, and for all of us. Like, I don't have children, but I appreciate homeschoolers so much. I studied education for a while and I did not resonate with it. And so
yeah. And you know, Florida, not to get too political, but it's good to kind of keep up with what's going on, because it kind of shows us markers of what's happening.
Yeah.
You know, Florida's, I don't know if it was a Senate or Congress lady, passed a legislation saying that any of the 87,000 show up in Florida, you have permission to defend. And I'm like, holy smokes.
So big things are happening.
Yes. And reading this and seeing what she's pushing, she's now gained every voter in that state. Because that's not connected to our government. That is a privately owned agency. So
yeah, people are taking a stand and keep doing it, you know, keep tapping into that. You know, we each, you know, everybody's like, what's the answer? What's the answer? The answer is we step into our personal power to choose. Like, we don't just let, you know, their power or their projected authority walk all over us. We step into our individual, you know, like I said, I don't have kids, so I don't have to deal with school stuff, but I can still stand. I can still like be in my own authority about what I believe in, or what I, you know, what I want to see for the next generation. And so the answer is not simple. The answer is we each have the power within ourselves, and then collectively we rise.
Right. And it's happening. You know, we're able to see, okay, there's big things taking place, you know, that we don't realize there's a lot more people collectively making that shift.
Yeah.
Going, hey, this just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is beautiful, because it's bringing it back to the divine nature anyway.
Right. And as you were saying that, you know, I was thinking about like the rise of the divine feminine, which is also like one of the big powerful energies that we're in right now, is the rise of the divine feminine, and versus like feminism, which but you know, the feminine and like the feminine's role in this revolution, or this time that we're in, like the feminine has an enormous role to bring up, you know, not only ourselves and each other, but to bring up the divine masculine, and to bring up you know, the children, and to provide healing. I've heard so many women that are stepping into healing roles in some capacity. You know, whatever that is, whether it's Reiki or fitness or whatever, you know, some kind of like, I don't want to say medicine as in like the medical industry, but medicine as in energetic or spiritually speaking. But I'm seeing like more and more women, you know, stepping into those roles, and some of them, you know, have been in like finance, or they've been in the business world, and they appreciate that world. Like, yeah, you know, their intellect appreciates that world, but their intuition and their inner guidance system is really urging them, you know, to step into these healing and these sort of I want to say witchery type roles, like, you
but
know.
it's true though. If we go back in time, if we go back in, whether we study the Indians, whether we study, you know, whatever aspect you want to go, you know, the grandmothers and the mothers were the healers. That's their divine gift. You know what I'm saying? That's our divine gift.
I do. And I think that, you know, there's like this pendulum occurring. And, you know, we're going to see more pendulum activity next year as Saturn moves into Pisces. But for now, like the pendulum with the divine feminine, divine masculine, we got to pull up. You know, if you what's there's a carnival ride, or what am I thinking of? Like a roller coaster where it's a pendulum, and you got to swing it all the way up before it can come back down and around. And so right now we're in this space of like the divine feminine's got to pull all the way up and out, because we really have to rise up as a divine feminine to be the guides, to be the healers, to do, you know, to really be those light workers, to really pull up the divine masculine. And, you know, I look around, like I'm single and I'm trying to date, and I look around and it's like, where's the divine masculines? Like, are y'all out there? Like, because it's going to take a strong ass divine masculine to put up with my emotional roller coaster. Like, I love that, you know, but it's partly it's embracing my own role as a divine feminine, you know, and embracing my own astrology, my own human design, and all of the pieces that make up me divinely, to really highlight or bring out that divine masculine.
Your shadow.
Yeah, that too is just, you know, embracing all of those, even the darkest parts of me, and believe me, they're really dark. But you know, and
I'm the moon in the 8th, sister. I am like really a Pisces, but I'm hidden Scorpio. So trust me, I get you.
totally. And so, but there is that it's really an important piece to all of this, is that there's so many layers to all of it, And there's the collective layer of like what's going on in the earth world. I don't like to call it the 3D or the 5D. That doesn't resonate with me. But if you think about what's going on with like humans in the world, there's that layer of it. There's the layer of like the collective astrology. There's also the bigger layer of and I guess this is where I can shout out the Leo King, David Palmer, on High Vibe TV, because he talks a lot about the divine union between the divine masculine and divine feminine. That's been a lot of his work over the last couple of years, is the divine union between the divine masculine and divine feminine. And so ultimately that is the spiritual war at which we're in.
Because it's been an attack on the family, it's been an attack on the feminine, and demasculating men,
right
more feminine, and then transgender, like you split up the family unit,
right?
Well, how do you continue life?
Exactly. Like where does that stop? Like it started with splitting up the family, but now we're moving into multiple genders, but we need 2 defined genders to create life. And yet we're supposed to like embrace that there's multiple because to continue life, we have to acknowledge that there's 2 genders.
Yes. Masculine, feminine.
Yep.
I mean, plugins are the same way.
Well, I was just going to say, like, magnets are the same way, right? Magnets have a masculine and feminine. Plugs have a masculine and a feminine, right? So we can see it in so many aspects of, not just men and women coming together, but, we see it in so many other aspects where there is a masculine and feminine. There's a male and female. Like it's so like present that it's undeniable.
Yeah.
So to say that there's more than one gender, that doesn't work that way, because you can't put a male to a male magnet. It won't work. It'll repel.
Yeah. And they can't have children.
And then we don't have humans.
But in all honesty, I think it all goes back to that, being able to control how we reproduce.
Right. Which always makes me think of Borg. I don't know if you're into Star Trek, but I am. And I often think of Borg. I often think of Star Trek things when I'm looking at futuristic astrology. But I often think of like Borg, and like the Borg were assimilated, basically machines, right? And they went to, like, in one of the earlier episodes of introducing the Borg on Star Trek Next Generation, they go to like a Borg nursery, and it's like these mechanical babies and incubators, and it was like the weirdest. But think about it, like the Borg have to regenerate, right? They have to go into like a cove and be hooked up to the collective, right? Matrix, unplugging, all of these things, right? They have to be hooked up to the collect to regenerate. Like, that's not how humans are meant to work.
Now, have you seen the birthing? You've not seen the birthing beds where you literally grow the baby in this bed?
Was that the thing that Celine Dion was advertising or something?
It's a womb thing that you can touch it and watch it, like, looks like a little spaceship egg. You've not seen them?
No, I have not. But it sounds very similar to like these Borg nurseries or whatever. And so, it's funny, like,
to control how you reproduce, you break up the home, you push transgender, you push all these agendas. We've not even talked about the cause and effect that could be happening to a whole generation at this point. Okay, like a whole generation, like holy smokes. Then you control who's able to have children,
right? Because if everything is mechanical, right? Electric cars, if everything is mechanical, then it can always be turned off. It can always be shut off. Which is just about control. And
Yeah. Yeah. Now I don't foresee this whole electric car thing succeeding.
I think it's almost over because I think like, you know, and I don't drive, of course, but I pay attention to what's going on. And I think we're seeing enough accidents and enough, you know, kind of blow ups and explosions with these cars. And I'm sorry for the people being injured by that. But I think like, and I live in a rural area. I'm in Southern Illinois. And so, you know, I'm in a farm community, and around here, like everybody uses diesel or uses fuel. And, you know, with no gas station or charging station for, you know, several miles, you know, there's like, you know, there can be like an easy 50-mile gap between, you know, town to town where there's a gas station. Like I don't foresee it working because you've got enough rural areas in the United States, so like it won't work. Like my you know, you can always carry a can of gas in your, you know, to gas up your tank to get you to the next town, but you can't charge if you're in the middle of a field.
Well, I mean, I can't remember if it was like a video, like if this was a joke or if this really happened, but somebody was stuck on the side of the road, battery had died. They're in a, you know, Tesla, right? And they're like, do you have any gas? I need gas. Well, you got to put gas in the generator.
Yeah, to charge
it.
Battery. I'm like, wait, what? Hold on a second. Like,
what are we doing?
No, and I think that might be like the revolution that we see. At least that's my utopian, like Aquarius, you know, wanting all good for humanity, kind of sometimes naive, maybe perspective is like, there are other ways.
Yes.
And I think that humans know that, you know, I think we innately know that there are better ways. And I think that as we move into this revolutionary time, you know, especially as we move into 2023 and we move into this, I think that, you know, as humanity, we're all gonna start to see like there are better ways, there's easier ways. It doesn't have to be, you know, I mean, we've got like all of this abundant, you know, energy going on and all of this golden light flooding into our planet. And you know, it seems like shadowy and dark right now, but like think about the full moon. It like as simple as the full moon, like it illuminates, but when you illuminate, you create a shadow. And so we have to move through shadow in order to see the light, right? We have to expose the shadow. We have to expose the dark in order to get to the light of it all. And I think that, you know, one thing we'll start to see as we move into like 2023, 2024 and beyond, like, you know, I think that we will start to see that humanity knows there's a better way. And, you know, not just with cars, but with everything. I think that, you know, we've got enough people still growing their own food. And
let's see,
you know,
better ways were already discovered and buried.
Yeah. And I think like that's some of the things too. Like I know I've heard the story of like the man who created the vehicle that ran on water, the hydro. Yeah. And I think like things like that are coming out, that are getting attention, you know, that will continue to get attention. Like, well, if we can run a car on water, then why aren't we? Like, we've got plenty of water. So I think it's already happening. Like it's already coming to light, and we're going to continue to see that. So, and I you know, my heart breaks for the people who don't want to see it go that way, but I also know as a human that like there's nothing I can do. Like I can only be the person that I can be to the people who want to work with me or want to you know, hear my content or hear my words, and I can only like send love and send compassion to those who aren't ready to see it that way, but I can't, like, you know, I can't rescue people from what they don't want to see. And for me, you know,
we're not there anymore.
No,
like,
we're not.
Point, you know, you get a choice. You know, in what you choose to see, what you choose to accept, and part of claiming that sovereignty is saying, hey, I'm willing to give up my sovereign self to stand up for what is right. I
Yeah.
will not allow for, you know, things to happen and not protect this space for my
Yeah.
children or their
Right.
children or their children before that. Hey, hold on. There's some things that's just not making sense. We really need to pay attention to what's really going on behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot, you know, and
Yeah.
you've been on this journey for a long time, just like me. Like, you know, I have literally watched people get healed from things from certain doctors. And next thing you know, that doctor doesn't exist anymore.
Yep.
Completely gone.
Yep.
Yeah, where'd they go? They did a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like, you know, the more the history that gets exposed as to why our medical system made a shift in the direction that it made and how it got to be such a scam, like, I think the more of that that's coming to light, and every like next level crap they pull out of their ass, as far, you know, people see the light more and more and more. So
it's very true. Very, 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 very true. And I'm a firm believer in, you know, plant medicine, all that. I am a firm believer in it only because my journey of getting sick with autoimmune diseases and then having to take all this medicine, like they almost killed me. Well, then I started developing allergies to medications, like instantly.
Yeah.
And it was like my body's way of going, you cannot take this.
Yeah.
So I don't really have any options.
Yeah.
You know, my options are getting to the bottom of the root. What's the root cause? Where's this coming from? Figure that out. Treat it. Tweak whatever you got to tweak to fix it, to move forward.
Yeah, that was me. Like, you know, like I said, I had a good paying job and it had great benefits, but my body broke. Like, I had so much physical and mental pain. You know, this was 12 years ago, and, you know, of course it was around my Saturn return. But I kind of felt like that was my moment of choice, right? Is I could have gone down the medicine path of, like, taking the painkillers, taking the antidepressants. But I already knew that, like, even over the counter stuff didn't work for me. So I knew if I took anything greater than that or more potent than that, it was going to make me sicker. And so it wasn't something I was willing to do.
I hadn't discovered it yet, but I had a very similar path.
Yeah.
Keep
and
going.
So, you know, I chose physical therapy and I chose psychotherapy at the time. And I'm grateful. Like, I look back to everything, I'm like, I'm thankful to my younger self who had the courage to leave a job that, like, you know, everybody told me at the time I was crazy to leave that job. But I'm so grateful to my younger self who made that choice, even though I've had, like, the, you know, healing journey of a lifetime. But I, you know, here I am, like, no pharmaceuticals. I use oils, I use energy. You know, I work with spiritual guides who work with energy. And I, you know, really dug into, like, what was really causing it. And honestly, it was my root chakra, which is your security center, you know, security energy center. And I had a lot of insecurity, still do. I have a lot of Scorpio. I'm insecure. So, and so just, but taking that opportunity to learn all that, as opposed to taking medications and being on pain and having pain injections and this, that, and the other thing. Like, I feel like I probably would have died. I really think I would have died. There was definitely a lot of, like, thoughts.
Oh yeah,
I almost did. I think that things. Yeah, I definitely feel like there would have been, like, my demise had I gone down that path and stayed on that path. And so, you know, but at the time, like, I was young. I was the youngest in my working department, and everyone was, like, in their 40s, 50s age range, and they were loaded on pharmaceuticals and they were constantly unhealthy and I'm like, I don't want that to be me.
Yeah, it got to a point, you know, I was taking 16 different pills a day.
Wow.
And, like, the amount And see, when it all happened, like I was in so much pain, I was like, I'll take anything.
Yeah.
I'll take anything. Well, it didn't work. So they kept giving me more, kept giving me shots. Nothing was working. Nothing was working. Nothing was working. To the point that antidepressant, like they could not help me.
Yeah.
At all, but medicine. And I was like, hold on, this is just not, why can we not get to the root of the problem?
Right.
So now I have even more problems because I was just desperate to get relief. So now I've got to overcome, addiction to medication because it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay? So now I got to overcome this, and I got to heal my body, and I got to figure out what's going on. What in the world? And the only thing that got me through it was getting on my hands and knees every single day saying, if this is the life that I'm meant to live, God, you do you, boo. Okay.
Yeah.
I cannot do it. I can't. The pain is overwhelming. Nothing works. They cannot help me. I cannot live in this pain. I can't. Okay. It's too much. Okay. And I said, if there is something that I am meant to do greater than this, you're going to have to help me. I was on my knees every single day for almost a year. And I can say here, I have, I still have my autoimmune disease. I still have flare-ups, but look at me. You can't tell. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And had it not been like that was the only thing. Yeah. That was the only thing. There was no medicine. There was no doctor. There was no nothing but me and God and my bedroom floor.
Right. And that goes back to that surrender and trust piece, right? That's so powerful that, really like asking God for the direction, asking God for the healing. And, it may send you through a process, but it to me, that process and like learning and healing and growth and all of that work is way better than popping a bunch of pills, getting a bunch of shots, all of the things.
Absolutely.
People are like, you're, because I, like I said, I've had lots of mental illness and depression and things like that. And a lot of that was trying to fit into a world I didn't belong in. Like I was trying to be in the normal world and I don't belong there. Right. I'm Mercury and Pisces. I don't work that way. And so, but it's people look at me now like, you're depressed, you have depression. I'm like, yeah. You don't seem like you have depression. No, because I choose to see it as a symptom, not the actual thing.
Yeah.
Because it's a symptom. When we have depression,
it's telling us something's wrong.
It's because we're not honoring some part of ourselves that, would bring us joy and happiness.
Yes. Same. And see, I've had Saturn sitting right on top of my moon. Common, transit symptoms is depression. Hello. Like, my personality, my subconscious is taking, my brain is taking a hit, more or less.
Yeah. So that's where like learning your astrology, learning your human design, learning who you are divinely created to be is powerful. It literally will change the way you see yourself and view yourself and allow you to be compassionate when you are going through shadowy shit. Like, I can sit here and say like, I don't have depression on a regular basis. I still have shadow stuff that comes up. Like I said, the moon hits a water sign. Like, it is not always pretty, so I definitely like, as I look forward to this Scorpio season, I'm just like, oh my God, I hope I'm going to be okay. But hold on tight, friends. I hope you all really love me because this could be a bumpy ride.
Listen, I have 100% faith in you.
Thank you.
I made it with Pluto retrograding right on top of my Venus, Venus retrograding right on top of my Venus. Like, you got this.
And when you know those things, right? When you work with an astrologer, when you work with a spiritual guide, and you learn those things. Like, yes, I know these opposing transits and these square transits, but I also have Jupiter trine Jupiter.
Nice.
So you get like, there's the shadowy, there's also the beauty of it, like going through all of these lessons, right? Squares are lessons. Going through all of these lessons and learning and growing gets me this Jupiter trine Jupiter, which is rewarding, and it's expansion and abundance, and right, and you take that with the golden light that's flooding our planet, and so I don't want astrology to look all dark, because it's not. It's there is dark, because you have to have dark to have light. You have to have sadness, anger, anxiety. You have to have those low frequency emotions. I don't really buy into the 100% positive high vibes unicorns and rainbows all the time. If that's the case, if that's who you are, you're fake. Like, that's just how I see that, because you have to be angry, you have to be sad, you have to experience those emotions. We're in a human experience after all, but you have to know those parts of you in order to experience the happiness, the joy, the anticipation of what's coming for you, the beauty that's coming for you, the happiness, and God has us here to be happy, to be joyful, and to experience that. You got to go through some muck and some shit sometimes, and it's all good, it's okay. But that's when you got to tap into that surrender, that trust, and that security, being secure in your own body and your own skin, and knowing that you're experiencing this so you can see, it's like I said about we have to experience this shadowy shit in order to see the light on the other side. So,
and I had to go through that car wreck. I had to go through the process of being in so much pain that they loaded me up with so much pain medicine, and it wasn't helping. To go through the process to overcome that, but then to also be able to reflect back and go, only God can do what happened to me. I got chills all over me. Do you see what I'm saying? What a powerful testimony to be able to stand here and witness and own that only God can do that.
And we talked about like the abuse cycle and everything. And in 2015, I had, and I've mostly only had, like, looking back, I've only really had abusive, like verbally and mentally abusive relationships. But the apex one was in 2015, where I ended up going through like domestic violence court and getting a restraining order, because he was so, like, he never hit me. Like, I've never been physically abused. But I've been emotionally, mentally, and verbally abused, to the point that my physical body started to break down. And I came out of that, and it literally showed me the people that I had in my life. It literally was like, you must feel like a worthless piece of shit to allow yourself to be treated that way. And so that was like the beginning of the deepest part of my healing journey, was 2016 into 17. And so when 2020 occurred, like, I saw the red flags right away. So those are the things that God plants. It sucks I had to go through that, but had I not gone through that, I would not see what I see now.
2020 was definitely an abusive narcissist relationship. Like, I'm with you. I mean, it's in my birth chart. I grew up with it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Trust me, I know how that works. And it was easy for me too.
And I know, I mean, I saw comments on, various social platforms of lots of women who had been through abusive relationships who saw it. Like, immediately, like, it was it was an immediate wake up call, because they saw it right away. Like, wait a second, this reminds me of something, like, God
it's just
plants those things.
It's just put in a different package to make it look so bright and shiny. But again, I also believe that kind of goes back to how powerful the television truly is. It's the vision that they want to tell, that they want you to believe. But once you've walked the path of, wait, this looks like a red flag. Hold up, this looks like a red flag. We got another one popping up over here. Then you're able to see the big picture of going, okay, this is the biggest form of gaslighting I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you noticed this, but like I certainly did. Like I'm not somebody, I don't have cable. I mean, I have streaming platforms that I watch stuff on, but I'm not typically glued to my TV. If I am, it's to watch high vibe TV. But I think there was like, I feel like there had to have been like some kind of correlation between people who were watching TV, whether it was binge watching Netflix or binge watching this, or between that and the people who were kind of falling for the spell versus those of us who weren't falling. Like I didn't watch that much TV. I was actually so focused on my inner self that like, yeah, I watched a movie here and there, watched a show here and there, but like I was not like, I was not binging that much during the, like throughout this whole thing.
I learned to be very selective of who I watch anything from.
Yeah.
You know, watching some things go down in 2020, finally for once plugging into Hollywood and following them on social media. I never cared. And listen, I worked on them. You know what I mean? I worked at farms in the Well House. I worked on music singers, country music singers, you know, the people that made movies, like Hollywood, you name it.
Yeah.
Okay? That was my clientele. I didn't care. Half the time I didn't know who any of them were, because that's about how much I paid attention. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You were just an everyday person just like me. And they loved me because I didn't know who they were. You know, I treated them just like an average Joe because I didn't know who they were.
Correct. Yeah.
So 2020, I plug in to start paying attention. Okay, well, let's see what happens. If there's some truth to some things coming out, let's watch how they react. And you know, watching some of the things that I did, I was like, you know what? I think there's some truth to some of the things that's going around. Those that scream the loudest have the most to hide, or the most to lose.
Yes. I often say those who look the most glorified, or like they have this public presence of humanity, like the prettiest public presence, right? Usually have the most to hide.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a hard truth in some ways for me. I mean, I knew there was dark shit going on with Hollywood. I wasn't like oblivious to that. But I think like when it really came down to it, with some of the celebs that I totally like love their stuff, like, oh shit.
I hurt just a little bit. There was a couple that I was like, oh, that one's
not that one.
Oh man.
But unfortunately, we have to see that kind of stuff. Like, as much as it sucks and it cuts and it hurts, and damn, I didn't want them to have to be a part of it, you kind of have to see it. Right? Rather than being like naive, oblivious to like, no, Hollywood's not like that. No, I would rather see it and know than to be like ignorant.
But when you study the occult, you're able to see that, you know, this is, they call it make-believe when there's not a lot of make-believe. It's coming from somewhere. Yeah. But the laws they are required to say what they're doing, which they do.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what's important about, you know, light workers who do get on social and show their shit show. Right? Like I said before, if you're all sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns all the time, I have bold question marks while I'm watching your shit. But if I see you, crying shadow stuff, like, this is what I'm processing right now, and it's not fun, and it sucks, and I feel like shit. To me, that resonates more because you're being real. Yeah. You're showing me that you're not perfect all the time, because none of us is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a hard time crying in front of the camera.
I don't know that I ever have. I've come awfully close.
Yeah, I don't care to talk about it. Like, I'll talk about it all day long. It's
but actually showing it.
Crying, probably because, and that would stem from, you know, always being told you don't ever cry in public.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was told to suppress my emotions, to never ever express them. You know, after I was raped, that was my mom's solution. Don't ever talk about it. Don't cry about it. Pretend like it didn't even exist. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, my next bad traumatic thing happened. Don't ever talk about it. Don't ever nothing. Just pretend like it didn't exist. Well, I'm having to literally, on a public scale, go through and work through that shadow aspect of going, wait, I was told my whole life that a woman doesn't act this way.
Yeah.
And now I have to surrender and be okay with crying in front of people. Like, I have been forced to literally bawl my eyes out and not be able to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I've hated every single second of it.
I think there was, like, you know, the generation of, like, vanity, like, you know, you didn't air your dirty laundry, you didn't, you know, publicize it or anything like that. And I think that, like, as we move into this, like, authentic time and space, like, cut the bullshit. Like, you know, there are moments when I feel like shit, and it's okay. And, you know, the more we can step into that and show that, you know, it sheds more of that fake layer of vanity that's out there to be shed.
Oh yeah, absolutely, hands down, hands down. I've also had to learn, you know, what triggers my shadow aspects, or the parts that I would be like, okay, I'm not so happy about that. Like, I'm not a morning person at all. I usually sound a lot worse than what my energy is. It's just kind of like, you know, leave me alone. But I've always been that way. Why do I not wake up happy? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm working all night long. You know?
Right. Yeah. Same. Like, I'm up half the night doing stuff, and then it's like, you know. Well, I think, like, that's part of, like, the well, there's two layers to that. Like, there's the you tell yourself you're not a morning person, so that's a story that now you have to live up to, number one. But number two, it's part of that, like, if you wake up and you have to do something you don't love, like, you know, there's the manic Monday thing, right? Like, I like to disrupt that, because, you know, I don't care what day of the week it is. If there's work I need to do, like, if there's a major transit and I need to do a video about it, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is. There's a transit and it needs to be talked about, right? So I think, like, that's part of the deconditioning and the deprogramming, right? So there's the first layer, which is, like, disrupting your own story of, like, you've told yourself you're not, because I'm not a morning person either, but, like, there's that whole story of, like, you've told yourself you're not a morning person, therefore you have to prove that to yourself.
I just need coffee. I need coffee and
Totally.
a cigarette. Give me 30 minutes and we'll be okay. But I just need that time to kind of come back into my body, literally, because that's what I'm doing. Because you know, I have been out in this world and that world and that world,
right,
and doing this and doing that, and I'm now coming back in.
Right. So you have that regrounding and recentering. But when you change that language from I'm not a morning person to I have to reground, I have to recenter before I can get into this day, like, that's different. That's an empowerment. That's a, you know, feeding yourself that space to get there, versus I'm not a morning person, and, you know, like, that's disempowering, and that's just, you know, do you see the difference there?
Right. But the first thing is recognizing.
Totally.
You know?
Everything's about recognizing and becoming aware of it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with, like, anything else, right? Oh, you know, my anxiety this, my anxiety that. Well, if you keep telling yourself that, you're always going to experience that, because you have to keep proving your story. Whereas if you relax and get yourself centered before you face a situation that you know could trigger your anxiety, right? Or use some grounding oil, you know, arbor vitae or whatever you use to ground in. Maybe it's a stone that you use to ground in.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Just to add to that a little bit, I am learning how to allow for those energies to come in and kind to be as like warning markers or vibration markers of, hey, yeah, you've done this work. Hey, yeah, you're feeling it come in, but maybe you're feeling it come in because you need to be aware to be able to send, a sympathetic or an empathetic vibration back
to that. Yeah. Yep.
And not
that's what, I mean, that's the whole thing is like our bodies are constantly sending us messages. Whether it's, butterflies in your tummy letting you know that like you're anxious or whatever. And yeah, you're anxious and it's okay. But also learning to be with that anxious feeling, to ground it, to center it, so that even if you're experiencing that, you get to do the thing anyway, right? Like, or if it's like, I experience a lot of indigestion. So for me, it's like, I always ask myself, what am I mentally unwilling to digest? What am I mentally unwilling to be with that's causing me to not digest my food properly, right? Like there's always like that. There's the physical body, which shows us the physical symptom. There's the mental body, right, which has very similar structure, right? There's mentally processing, there's mentally digesting, there's mental constipation, right? When we're so uptight. And then there's the spiritual body that like kind of comes in to help us like balance out the two, right? Because you spiritually process the energy that's moving through your body, both the physical and the mental. So multiple layers at play all the time, and most of us ignore what, most of that.
Yes. And when I'm channeling or when something starts happening, let's say my ear starts acting up or I curb the right side of my car, like that's telling me, okay, there's something going out of alignment with the masculine energy, or the feminine energy is here. Okay, this is pointing me towards the energy. Okay, this is where it's unbalanced.
Yep.
And then taking it and diving in deeper to find out, okay, well, what is that there? I ran over a curb day before yesterday and instantly reached out to a divine feminine. She was in the middle of having a major tower moment. And I was like, oh, wow. And she's a Leo. Okay. Well, to me, Leo's masculine energy, right? But she's a feminine. Okay. And I'm like, well, no wonder I've just banged the hell out of the side of my car, because you're literally taking a hit and I'm being shown in my 3D reality where I need to put my energy.
Yes.
Well, this is getting a little crazy.
Right. But like we get those
folks, girl, are you okay?
Right. But we get those little like nudges. We get those synchronicities. As those are guides. Those are messages. Those are here for a reason.
Yeah. I wish they'd be a little bit more subtle in the car.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes it's got to be just a sorry, bitch, you weren't paying attention. Got to hit you a little bit harder the
time. I mean, come on, I can't take it. Oh, no. Let's chill out on the Gemini here. Let's chill out on the car. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
This has been the best. Oh my word.
Thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Yes. And shout out, I'll do some shout outs here. So the Leo King, David Palmer, highvibe.tv. He is also on YouTube, the Leo King. But I mean, that's how Brooke and I connected, was through High Vibe, the High Vibe network and community. And of course, Brian Scarborough, Fixed Air Moon on like every platform. But YouTube is where he posts a lot of his content. And so both of them, Tamara Jean Life.
I love her.
Oh, she's amazing.
She's so yummy.
She is so amazing. Tamara Jean Life on Instagram. Her video content is exclusive to highvibe.tv. And I highly recommend subscribing if you're the least bit interested in getting some spiritual support. The network and the community, it's just amazing. Who else? Alara Sage. I don't know if you've done any work with her. I did a workshop with her earlier this year. She's really thorough. And so you can find her on, I think she's on YouTube, Alara Sage, and then Instagram as well. And so, yeah, but definitely thanks to them for building the community that's connecting a lot of us together to do things like this and to talk about all this kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so thankful for it.
Me too. It's been my rock. I mean,
yeah, David has been such an amazing guide, teacher, mentor, you know. There's been moments on really in the last year I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it, and without the guidance, I mean, he's literally led me to specific places on my journey that has been life-changing.
Absolutely. And like I said, been working with Tamara Jean. She's just amazing at work, you know, connecting the astrology with the human design, with the body work and energy work. And that kind of thing. And, you know, I'm a lot of air and water in my chart. So Brian fixed their moon. He is Capricorn. So he grounds me, which is good because David's obviously Leo. He's fire. So like, I sometimes like, I'm like, I can't like, I love him and I love his guidance and I love his wisdom. But I often go to Brian because I need that pull back down to earth kind of thing. And so they all come with their gifts and their talents, and I listen to them kind of almost intuitively sometimes. Like some days I'm just like, you need to go listen to David's horoscope today. Some days I wake up and I need to go listen to Brian's. Like I kind of just go where I'm intuitively guided to go. And you know, there's always something in it that is like a message for me to go hit my journal or take on a practice. Or know what energy I need to process through that day. And so thankful to all of them. They've all in some way, shape, or form have been my rocks, have gotten me through these last couple of years, which have been super challenging, you know, going through all of this, you know, letting go of old self-worth issues that I've had, and embracing, like I said, my emotional roller coaster shit show.
Embracing you.
And embracing me, like my wisdom, you know, I mean, I'm a line 6 is wisdom, you know, I'm divine wisdom and I don't trust it. And they've all been like a great reminder to really entrust it and embrace it, and all of that. And so, and the Before Dawn show that they just started doing on High Vibe, it's also on YouTube with Dylan, who's a human design maven. Holy shit, that show. I love it. It goes places. I'm just like, wow, my Aquarius, like future brain is just like, nah, this is amazing.
You know, their first episode, while they were talking, I was all over his Instagram going, oh my
like,
gosh,
who is this guy?
Now I know why I do that. Oh my goodness. Stop it.
Totally. And you know, David and Brian just started doing Spiritual Daddy, which is all about the divine masculine. And you know, me who's like I said, I'm single and I'm looking for that divine masculine. And some of the stuff that they're saying about, you know, the calling up of the masculine, it's just like, thank you. Somebody's putting that out there from a spiritual perspective. Like, thank you so much for calling it up, calling it out, and bringing it to light. Just, anyway. So I'm super thankful to them. They have all been like I said, in some way, they have all been my rock for the last couple of years that I've been following highvibe.tv.
Hands down. I mean, I see them as family.
Yeah, absolutely.
They may not feel the same about me, which is
but
you know, I love them regardless. You know,
absolutely.
That's just me.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I am very thankful, very grateful. So, and if you know, for the listeners, if you're looking for an astrology reading, if anything that I have said here like resonates and you want to work with me astrologically, with energy, with oracles, Happy to work with you. You know, just reach out to me, comment, you know, you can DM me on Instagram. You can email me. It's sewcoaching@gmail.com. Instagram is Sara Divinely You. And I also post videos on my YouTube, Sara Divinely You, for major transits and oracles, and, you know, kind of give you some support to get through whatever the transit, you know, that we're experiencing in the moment and beyond the moment. So hope you tune in, and thank you.
Yes. Thank you guys. All right. I'll see y'all soon. Bye.